Literally, your waist to hip ratio and your level above your ideal body weight, anything higher than about 20 to 30 pounds above your ideal body weight can lead to all major causes of mortality. So we're talking about heart disease, we're talking about stroke and high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and even Alzheimer's. Welcome back, everybody. We are getting started with today's show, episode 2777 of the Cabral Concept. You'll find the three big takeaways. You'll find all of the updates to this show, including the research from Harvard University over at stephencabral.com/2777. All right, today we're going to go into literally the worst food for your waistline. So if you're someone who, let's say that you want to get leaner, get in better shape, and you want to do it for whatever it might be, whether it is just to look better, to feel better, but also for health reasons, I wanted to share this show with you here today. So what I want to do is just make sure that you know that really when I talk about body transformation, it is not just about you wanting to look and feel your best, because honestly, maybe that has nothing to do with you losing weight. And I respect that, and I completely agree with you. There is no one body type that we're all shooting for. I really believe that. And specifically, we have three different main body types, right? The Vata, the Pitta, and the Kapha, or the ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. So I totally get it. And I've said this before, there's a 40-pound swing from most heights in terms of your ideal body weight. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. At 5'8", the swing is basically between 125 pounds and 165 pounds. It's a big swing for where you might fall on that spectrum. But what if you're 190 pounds, 195 pounds at 5'8"? Well, you're starting to move in the category that may increase all-cause mortality. And I just want to make sure that you have all the information that you need if you decide to make the change. Now, if you don't decide to make the change, like, that's okay too. Like, I just want people to know, it's your life. You get to choose to live it however you want. But I just know it can be a struggle, and it can be really challenging, especially even before these diseases are diagnosed, because you begin to fill up that rain barrel and all of a sudden you're feeling the bloating and the fatigue and the exhaustion, the irritability, the anxiety, the overwhelm, everything that comes with essentially being overwhelmed with inflammation. And inflammation always has a root cause, and one of those we're going to be talking about here today. But one thing I wanted to mention too is that you may also see other signs and symptoms in terms of like bone health or gout or increased fasting glucose, or even like gum disease, things like that. It can start to happen in teeth-based issues based on this one particular food. So let's dive into it right now. And I don't know that the food's going to be an exact surprise to you, but I think you're going to be shocked as to the genealogy or the lineage of how it's changed from 1950, because it's been a big change. We can't just say like, oh, this isn't anything new. No, it actually is something new, and it's only getting worse. So here is the number one food you want to stay away from in terms of like improving your overall health and improving your waistline as well. And that is sugar sweetened beverages. We'll just call them sugary drinks. But it's not just the ones that you would typically think about, meaning like Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew or like Fanta grape. Like, I'm just going over some of my favorites from when I was a kid, right? It's not just those. A lot of people know soft drinks or those have a lot of sugar in them, right? They have a lot of just syrups and all sorts of like really high glycemic based sugars, high fructose corn syrup, etc. But it is being a little bit through marketing, it's graying the area of what's a sugary drink. Because keep in mind, when you pick up your orange juice, like at your local store, it is most likely devoid of a lot of the fiber and the enzymes and the packaging that you would get from nature. It's not the same. But even if we go a few steps further, there are things like vitamin waters, and other drinks like that that are loaded with sugar. They still have the 27 grams to 35 grams of sugar. But what can be even worse is on the bottle, and they're looking to change this, it sometimes says per serving, and the bottle might be multiple servings. So you think you're only consuming 150 calories, even though that's still a lot. It's like 35 grams of sugar, right? But the thing is, it could be 2 of those or 1.5 of those per bottle. So now you're up to 50, 60 grams of sugar per bottle. Another one that kids are becoming really addicted to is energy-based drinks, because they're being marketed to them like, oh, take this energy-based drink. As a kid, the last thing that you should need or want to consume is an energy drink. So what I'm talking about here today is old soda, old pops, colas, whatever you want to call them, fruit punch, the fake lemonade, right? That you can, instead of you making it, you're actually purchasing it. And then all sports and energy-based drinks. Now, there are some that are okay, and I'll talk about those in a moment. But what I want to do is get into what I find to be pretty astounding research. I'm going to link up Harvard's research on this. So essentially, in every teaspoon, right, every teaspoon is 4.2 grams of sugar. Honestly, 4.2 grams of sugar is no big deal. It's not going to throw off most people's blood sugar, because by the time you get that glucose into your stomach and it starts to then be absorbed through the stomach wall as well as through the first part of the small intestine, which is called the duodenum. So we get that absorption right here if you're watching this on video in the stomach, and then that first part of the small intestine is right over here, the duodenum, and you can start to get that increase. Now, there's not enough sugar really to be able to dramatically increase your blood sugar. So the 1 teaspoon, kind of no big deal. But think about this, 7 to 10 teaspoons or more of sugar are in most sodas or sugary beverages. 7 to 10 teaspoons of sugar. That is a lot of sugar. Now, keep in mind, it's unabated as well. It's going right into your body without the fiber and the other minerals and vitamins that would typically come with something like, say, fruit or a sweet potato or something like that, which dramatically changes the glycemic effect, but also how it's utilized and absorbed. I've done previous shows before on why carbohydrates do not cause diabetes. This is not from nature, right? This is not a sweet potato. These are not wild blueberries. These are literally lab-made sugar-sweetened beverages. Totally different. This is not natural whatsoever. Because when you look at the research, you actually say, oh, when someone adds blueberries to even a higher glycemic drink, believe it or not, it lowers the glycemic load. So I won't get into that today, but we can certainly link up previous shows as well at stevencabral.com/2777. All right, so here's some additional data for you. People who drank sugary beverages do not feel as full as if they'd eaten the same calories from solid food. And research indicates they also don't compensate for the higher caloric content of these beverages by eating less food. The average can of sugar-sweetened soda or fruit punch provides about 150 calories, almost all of which is from sugar. So if you do the math, because every gram of sugar is 4 calories. That's almost 40 grams of sugar per average container. And I've seen them more like 36, 37 grams of sugar. That's a lot, right? And it just listed as carbohydrates, but it's sugar. And it might even, well, it definitely says sugar added, right? It definitely for sure, because these are sugar added beverages. So let's go on to additional research. And then I want to get how this all changed over the years in the US, and now it's happening around the world. So if you were to just drink one of these sugary drinks every day and not cut back on other calories elsewhere, because again, it's not filling you up, or you're consuming them with meals, which is even worse, because if you add sugar to a high-fat meal, it's one of the fastest ways to put on weight. It really is. And it says not only does it increase weight gain and type 2 diabetes and heart disease and all of the chronic diseases, which I mentioned earlier in the show, but if you just consume this, just one beverage, one sugary beverage a day, only one, right? Only one, you're going to gain an average of 5 pounds per year, just doing that one thing. What they don't tell you is that many people who consume these beverages, they contain way more than just the typical 12 ounces or so, and they're also it's making them hungrier because they get the drop in blood sugar an hour or 2 hours later, that rebound effect. So then they're eating even more food, or they're reaching for another sweetened beverage. I'm telling you right now, a lot of these lattes and coffees as well contain massive amounts of sugar, so you can add them to the list too. So let me get to the chronology of how this actually happened. So before the 1950s, standard soft drinks bottles were 6.5 ounces. Have you ever seen what 6.5 ounces is? Like literally, nobody has a cup that small. It's so small. It's literally what's less than, it would be a small coffee mug. That's what it was. And if you can look up, you can definitely look it up, and maybe we can pop one right up here, is the old Coca-Cola bottles. They used to be thick bottles, and they were short. They were literally only about maybe 5 inches tall or so, and they came up to a little head, and that was it. So you would get this small Coca-Cola bottle, 6.5 ounces. And then after the 1950s, soft drink manufacturers started to produce larger bottles, such as the 12 ounce. And that became widely available by about 1960 or in the 1960s. And then in the 90s, it took about 30 years, but in the 90s then, the 20 ounce plastic bottle came to be, and now you just get supersized. You get whatever size you really want at a 7-Eleven, a McDonald's, etc. So just keep in mind, you can buy the 1+ liters today of soda, and then there's no cap. Like you can just literally drink as much as you want from that. All right. So in the 1970s, sugary drinks made up only about 4% of U.S. caloric intake. And although the stats, the last one I have is from about 20 years ago, it had more than doubled. So more than doubled sugary drinks. Let's see. The increase in children consuming these has gone way up since 1989 to 2008. Let's go over a few others. People consuming at least 567 calories, which is the equivalent of 4 cans of soda, 1 out of every 4 people. That is absolutely horrifying for people's health. I mean, it really is. And again, it's not their fault necessarily, because most likely they were never told. They just weren't. And these companies make them very appealing and very appetizing through marketing. And plus the sugar itself is very addictive. So why do you want to drink water, right, when you can drink these sugary, delicious beverages? All right. One thing I want to add before how we can make the switch, and because I always want to give you like the plan, right? I don't want to just give you the gloom and doom. I want to actually share with you what you can do for yourself, your family, your community, your clients, your patients. So the thing is this, is that when I did my internships back in the day for my doctoral degree, I was over in a few countries, and I got to see the first generation being affected by this Western-based marketing and soft drinks and that. And the place that I refer to is Old Beijing, China. So I was at a traditional Chinese medicine hospital there, and I worked long days there every single day, and it was great. I walked to work. I was in Old Beijing, so I didn't speak the language, and it was a bit of a challenge, but work was great, and I very much enjoyed it. And when I walked to work every day, I already brought my food from the U.S., meaning like just a shake. I would just do something simple in my room, and then I would walk and I would get a coffee. I would literally just point to the menu, and then when I would be walking to work, which wasn't that far away, it was probably a half a mile, I saw the stark difference, especially on the walk home, of the older generations riding their bikes. They had literally veggies in the basket on their bike, and they were lean. They really were. And the next generation, I saw them in the hospital, and they were, unfortunately, these children, a lot of them were already overweight. So already suffering from a lot of these inflammatory-based issues. And they weren't eating the hypocaloric diets, the vegetables and some of the rice and different things like that the older generations ate. No, they were eating the McDonald's and the Western-based foods, and especially the sugary-based drinks that they could actually get right out of essentially a store front that was a vending machine. So pretty wild. So what I want to share with you is that I understand the addictive nature to it. Back in the day when I was a kid, I mean, these are things that I loved as well. So I totally get it. I used to drink the Crystal Light and the Kool-Aid and all these different things. And my recommendation is not necessarily to switch to the beverages that have the aspartame and maybe even sugar alcohols and things like that. I don't have an issue with some stevia or some, naturally flavored, meaning like from like fruit-based extracts. But one of the things that you can do that's pretty straightforward is you can get yourself some sparkling mineral water. So you get like real water, which is mineral water, and a lot of it can be naturally carbonated. So now you're consuming a real water, and now you just want to make it a little bit more palatable to your taste. So for a lot of people, you can just squeeze a little bit of lemon or lime or both in there, maybe even with a pinch of sea salt. Or you could use your favorite electrolyte powder as long as it's clean. Or another nice one is this. So you just squeeze some orange in it. So you give it a little bit of twist of orange. And when you have the sparkling water with a little bit of the orange, it can taste absolutely delicious. Another one that I like to do is I'll just make some hibiscus tea. I like the flavor of hibiscus. And I'll mix that with lime, and I'll mix it with sparkling water. So I have lime, I have hibiscus, which really nice taste, or passion flower, the herbal-based teas. You just basically brew them, cool them, pour them in with your sparkling water, put some lime in. I think that that's absolutely delicious. You can do a pinch of sea salt as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can get creative. People love cucumber water, cucumber mint water. Another really nice one is you basically just dice up strawberries, put some mint in there. Even, again, a lot of people like cucumber. I'm not a huge cucumber fan myself, but these things all make it much more appetizing and tastier. Plus, you can start to consume smoothies if you like to get more beverage, more water in. That's a better way to do it than these soft drinks and these sugary-based beverages. I'm telling you right now, if you only change one thing, and I'm talking about only one thing in your diet. The number one thing that I used to do and still do with my clients, but typically by the time they come into our practice, they know some of these things, and I get it. But back in the day, people didn't. They never even heard of it. And so it'd be the number one thing that I would change. Because if they were resistant to change in many different areas, I said, hey, let's just do this one thing. And so we began to replace all of their soda just with water, and then we would make it a flavor that they enjoyed to a greater degree. So I'm telling you right now, this is the thing to help your family, your friends, yourself, your community, your patients, your clients with. Hopefully this was helpful. All the show notes, links, the Harvard-based research will be at stephencabral.com/2777. Do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.